Next up, I would like to introduce Annie Shirley and Hazel Vaughan from Junction Support Services, who will be presenting on their new program, Diverge. Annie is the Research and Development Manager at Junction Support Services and holds a Bachelor of Youth Affairs in Youth Work, a Certificate in Training and Assessment and Therapeutic Crisis Intervention. That is a mouthful. Trainer Associate Certification. Annie has more than 18 years experience working for Junction Support Services, so a lot of experience. Hazel is a Diverge youth engagement worker at Junction Support Services and holds a diploma in outdoor recreation and has spent the past 11 years working with both young people and adults in her various roles. Hazel is an advocate for young people who are neurodivergent in particular and uses her own experiences to show her clients that their brains aren't broken or wrong, but simply different in their own fun ways and something to be celebrated. Thank you so much to the both of you, and over to you.
Well, good morning. It's still good morning. Welcome, everyone, and I'd really like to thank you for attending our presentation on Diverge, a chance to take a different path. It's our privilege to present our program to you today. And I would like to hand over to Hazel, who's going to lead our presentation today. So take it away, Hazel.
Amazing. Thank you, Annie. Now, I want you all to imagine growing up in a small town where everyone seems to know your family, but not for the right reasons. You don't have contact with your dad who's incarcerated. Your oldest brother has been in and out of prison so much that you barely know him. And just when things seem to settle, the police raid your home. Your other brother has been involved in some dangerous situations, and now they found drugs in the house, including in your own room. People whisper behind your back, talking about how dangerous it is to cross you because what might your brothers do? And no one bothers to know you. They've already made their judgment based on your last name. Your mental health is on a downward spiral, and because you don't have money, you're stuck on a wait list that is months long to simply get a handful of sessions. When you do get in with the counsellor, it takes you a while to open up because letting down your walls has resulted in heartache so many times before. And then when you finally feel that you can trust this person, you only have a couple sessions left. How are you meant to unpack a lifetime of trauma in so little time? You've just started to scratch the surface before your service period is over and you're back to square one. You feel so alone. You feel like no one cares, no one wants to help, and you're struggling to see the point in trying anymore. This is your normal. This is your family, your life, your home. You're used to seeing your brothers follow in your dad's footsteps, and as far as you can see, this is the only path available. And I want to ask you all, what do you think the likely outcome is of this story? So we could spend the next 20 minutes talking about what we do and how we make an impact, but we believe that the best people to talk about our program are the ones who have been in it themselves. So over the next 7 minutes, you're going to hear from our young people and even a mother of a young person. Their stories tell far more than we ever could. We wanted to ensure that their privacy and confidentiality is maintained, so we sat them down and recorded their stories. The photos that you'll see on screen are just a few of the adventures that we've had with young people over the course of the program. So I hope you enjoy.
Before I started Diverge, I think I probably would have ended up dead or homeless with no friends. Well, it was some things I was struggling with, not being able to get out of the house, and that was really playing with my mental health, social ability and confidence. Doing Diverge and finishing it and stuff, I've made lots of friends and fixed my mental health and stuff. I liked and enjoyed doing all the activities because that was really, really fun. And I went to places that I didn't even know existed, and it was just really, really fun. Things are good. I've got a job now, and since being at Diverge, I've built more confidence with myself, and Yeah. And I go for walks and bike rides and stuff with my little sister. My friends are good. I've made a lot while I've been in Diverge, and it's really great. School's pretty good. I'm better with my schoolwork because I'm actually going to school, and the teachers actually like me now that I'm being more independent and not mucking around. What do you think I'm going to do in the future? If I can, I might apply for Diverge if I can, because it's really, really fun. And I think you guys should try it. And yeah.
What about job-wise when you finish? Or do you mean you might apply to work in Diverge?
Yeah.
Stop it! Oh my God. Get out of here.
I'm thinking about maybe doing a little bit of TAFE or maybe a little bit of uni and then jump into work. Because, yeah, I think I'm probably going to have a good life.
Before Diverge, I felt like I had so much things going in my head all at once, and it felt like I had no help at all. I reckon in 5 years, I would probably end up living on the streets or getting in lots of trouble with the police and having no life.
Where do you think she would have ended up in 5 years?
Definitely in the criminal system and hanging around with the wrong crowd. Her life before Diverge was very aggressive, very physical, very emotional. Yeah, and just really physical towards her dad and I. And I feel Diverge has helped her, getting her out into the social world, meeting new friends, doing things she probably wouldn't do beforehand, which like go out with a group of people that she didn't even know, but she looked forward to it every Friday. And she was much happier coming back, letting us know all the stuff she'd done and told us that she'd made a new friend, which was great.
In a couple of years' time, I want to be probably living out in a big paddock on a farm with my friend and just live my dream. I actually have things in life to live for and a whole career that's ahead of me.
Huge difference. She's a lot more happier. She will now, instead of sitting at home all the time, she'll go out. Like she'll go out with her cousin up the street, just them two, and she wouldn't do that beforehand. And yeah, and just spending a lot of time with people her own age and not worrying about anything. Beforehand, she was really worried about going out. Now, she'll just do it.
Diverge has changed my life in a good way. I love the smash food. Before, I was really depressed and not in the right headspace. But ever since I joined Diverge, I've felt more like myself and that I have people and that I have something to live for.
I don't think I've got anything to add to that. That was perfect.
I think that was pretty perfect too.
Before I joined Diverge, life was tough. Like, you grow up and you just always, like, it was always fight for your next meal and stuff like that. That's how I grew up. And we always had issues and problems with money and stuff. And I just want to change that. I was in a pretty deep depression spiral, not gonna lie. My life, where I would have ended up, most likely prison. Diverged helped me open my eyes a little bit and wake up to myself, because the path I was on was not good and I was going to end up hurting someone really bad, or I was going to hurt myself real bad. I really liked having that time to be able to express myself and be able to say my issues, and then we go out after and do something about it. Like, it's always great just to go out and just, I don't know, just spend some time, get your head off it, clear your head. It's always nice.
What were some activities you liked?
Activities, definitely the Smash Room. Yeah, that was great. And the clay sculpting. Yeah, I love doing pottery. That was fun. How am I feeling now? Well, I'm just trying to put my life together now. I'm on the dole, trying to get a job. My aspirations a while ago were to be the biggest criminal in Wodonga. Now it's just, in a couple of years' time, I see myself in the Navy. So I wanted to do seamanship and small arms specialist. So that's boarding parties, driving the big boats, the small boats, all that good fun stuff. I felt very strongly about Diverge. I felt like it did help me. Like, it was a step in the right direction that I did need, because I did have other supports in place, but they had bailed out at me. And yeah, I got offered Diverge and I took it just to see what it was like, and I loved it.
So of all three of the young people that we spoke to, they all felt that they were on the path to becoming either homeless or incarcerated. And now after Diverge, they all envision a very different life for themselves. As an outdoor educator, I've witnessed something remarkable. When young people step outside of the classroom and learn experientially, the transformation is massive. Almost every week, teachers pull me aside to warn me about the problem student. But what if the student isn't the problem? What if the classroom is? These so-called problem students become my go-to kids every time. These are the kids who will wrangle the rest of the group, clean the area before we leave, carry the extra weight in their packs. Why? Because when we put young people in environments where they can thrive, everything changes. These young people are the ones whose brains aren't designed to be sitting and listening, but to be moving, doing, building, and engaging. These are the young people who are intelligent, but often have statements on their reports like, needs to apply himself, or has potential if only she would pay attention, or is a distraction to others. We're expecting our young people to all fit a specific mold and treating them like they're the issue when they don't fit. But once we become adults, it's okay for some people to become lawyers, some artists, some builders, because in society, we need those differences to keep our economy running. But for some reason, we aren't giving the same approval for the differences to our teenagers. Why do they have to fit the mold, but we as adults don't? And when is a square peg ever going to fit into a round hole? The only time is when it's beaten, cut, and shrunk. But we want our young people to be their big, bold, wonderful selves and to see that their differences can be their tickets to greatness. Outdoor education isn't just about having fun, although it is a big part of it. It's about developing confidence, competence, care, character, and connection. In Diverge, we take young people out every week for 3 months. We take them out of the school environment, away from their peers and their home lives, away from the expectations and judgments. Every week, we re-engage them with the community, expose them to new experiences, and create a space where we can have the important conversations. Conversations about safety, about values, about their strengths. We show them that being neurodivergent or growing up on the rough side of town or not getting the ideal grades doesn't make them any less worthy, less intelligent, or less capable. In fact, it can be their strength and their superpower. Many of the young people we work with have been exposed to trauma, criminal activity in the home, or have started to disengage from their community. On top of that, at least 80% of our young people identify as neurodivergent. They come to us because the school system isn't set up for their brains. So they get bored, they disengage, and they begin to drift towards activities that may lead to risky behaviour and police involvement. They start to follow the path that is almost expected of them, or the path that their parents or siblings have already forged. These young people need to learn by doing and experiencing, not by sitting in a classroom and listening. But where are the opportunities for that kind of learning? Junction created Diverge as a pilot program, and for the last 3 years, we've seen some phenomenal transformations with our young people. Now, unfortunately, we only have 4 months left before we have to wrap things up. Our program was federally funded with the aim to reduce crime in the community, and while we created a program that we feel should be rolled out Australia-wide, many who received the funding used it to install cameras or street lights. They chose to put a band-aid on the issue rather than addressing it at its core and working on early intervention. We've been working tirelessly to try and find a way to keep this program going because the proof is in the pudding. You heard our young people and their parents sharing about what Diverge meant to them and how it changed the trajectory of their lives. But we're not giving up. We will continue to advocate for the young people and to push for the continuation of this program. We've supported 166 young people through the Diverge program, with a majority of our referrals coming from Wodonga and Wangaratta. Our rural communities are in real need of support, but are often left behind. With a quarter of our young people at risk of homelessness and almost all of them disengaging from education, the chance to get out for a few hours and let go of the pressure and anxiety and simply be kids can be so powerful. Now, at the end of our program, we always make a point to ask for feedback from the young people, and I want to show you just a few of the responses that we've received. So some of the feedback we've gotten from young people and families include, I'm happier, I feel like a better person, my mental health is better, my stress levels have decreased due to the great support. I've gone from being homeless to having 3 different houses and now in stable housing. I'm looking forward to school more. I feel wanted and worth something now. And then one of my favorites is, my life has turned right around. I have a reason to live now. We also asked some of the parents for feedback, and a couple of the responses we got were, my daughter and I are a lot closer. Communication between us has improved. I'm so very grateful for Diverge. My daughter struggles with interacting and socializing, but spending time with Diverge has helped her overcome her struggles. Now I'm going to hand it over to Annie now, who will share a little bit more.
Thanks, Hazel. So Junction completed a mid-cycle evaluation of our Diverge program in 2023 in order to determine how our program had been succeeding. We looked at a model called the Positive Youth Development Framework. Okay, and this framework uses outdoor education, activities, and community engagement to improve outcomes for young people based on the 5 C's you can see in front of us. Confidence, competence, caring, character, and connection. These are all being facilitated through experiential learning activities. Up until November, when we completed the mid-cycle evaluation, we had received 126 referrals. 125 of those referrals engaged in our program, so only 1 person chose not to engage, which was incredible. Hazel will talk a little bit more about some outcomes just shortly. But one of the things we took away from our mid-cycle evaluation, one of the main recommendations was to lower the age of the eligibility. So originally we were 15 to 21 years of age, and the referrals for the community were coming more for the 11 to 15-year-olds. So we opened up our referrals to younger kids because that's what the need in the community was. I'd now like to hand back to Hazel.
Thanks, Annie. So I always say that I have the best job at Junction, and I mean it. I get to take these young people rock climbing, rafting, to pottery classes, sexual health lessons, water parks, smash rooms, you name it, and we've probably done it. It all starts with taking them out of their environment, pushing their comfort zones and having fun. And from there, we get to build a strong rapport and have the conversations that matter. We get to see these young people for who they are rather than for their family or behaviours. And we can create a team of professionals who are all supporting, advocating, and guiding them. When a young person is seen as a real person rather than a problem, we can intervene early and give them the tools to forge their own path rather than following the ones expected of them. Through Diverge, we empower these young people to realize that they can take a different path. Thank you.
That was so incredible. I know I can speak for everyone present when I say that was so moving. And that the video, oh my goodness, I didn't know whether it got really cold in here or had goosebumps everywhere, and I think it was definitely the latter. But thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that, and such a powerful way to present it as well, having the young people's perspectives and reports on how they found the program. I mean, I've got something to live for was a quote in that video, and I mean that just the proof is in the pudding. It speaks for itself about the value of a program like this. And yeah, I come from a background in criminology and OT as well, so it's the power of doing and of connection and of action, getting out there and creating a world where neurodiversity is welcomed, and that the onus is actually on us as practitioners to meet them where they're at as well. I just think so powerful. What a great program. Anyway, okay, question time. Sorry. We don't have long, so I just have one question for you both, and that is about what message you'd like practitioners and educators to take away from this presentation so that they could make even a small change in their day-to-day activities.
I think for me, the biggest way to connect and for young people to learn is through doing and making things fun. Like, most young people that I work with say they don't want to go to see a counsellor because they imagine it to be a very clinical setting and sitting and talking, and they don't feel comfortable with that. Whereas if they're doing, then they can open up and not really realize that they're learning lessons or opening up because they're busy having fun and don't realize that they're also getting these other things as well. So I think just the experiential learning makes such a massive difference. Yeah, that's my biggest.
Making it fun. And what about you?
I might just add, I suppose my role is a big piece in advocacy, and Hazel did touch on it in her presentation. In regional areas, we often miss a lot of funding opportunities, pilot programs and things like that. But up here, often where, young people are very isolated, we don't have as many services in other areas, and we're sort of limited because of the geographical limitations as part of our area. So I suppose I really look at it, how can we engage, because our program is about to end. Like Hazel said, it's not being refunded because the government was federally funded. They didn't see that there was any outcomes achieved with this program because everyone else were pretty much the only organisation that put in a community-based program. Everything else was structural, street lights and things like that. So it wasn't sort of value for money, but, we see value and we are trying to get this program refunded. So we lose Hazel, in her role as of February next year, and we are doing everything we can to advocate strongly to keep this program running because, like I said, halfway through we completed a mid-cycle evaluation and one young person didn't engage. Like, that's unheard of. And kids love it. They absolutely love it. And I suppose any support to advocate for future funding, I suppose, is one thing I want to really say.
Yeah. And shout it from the rooftops. It truly does sound incredible, and not just for the short-term benefits, but also looking far into the future and into adulthood and when these kids grow up and who they become later on.